Among the spectators at Germany's Nürburgring was Volkswagen president Kurt Lotz. Porsche had a chance to sew up the championship at Nürburgring, its second world title in 2 years. During practice sessions, John Wyer decided that the Targa Florio car would do better on the Nürburgring curves than the 917. The 908-3 handled better around the corners, putting less of a strain on the driver. That was important at Nürburgring. Each lap is 14.3 miles long, and in each lap there are 176 turns. Following the Indianapolis start, now used at the ring for safety reasons, Rodriguez sprang into the lead, followed by Giunti in a Ferrari. Siffert, driving number 20, was not able to pass him until the second lap. Siffert moved closer to Rodriguez and finally took over the lead in the 8th lap. There were tough battles for the other positions in the race. Porsche Salzburg also had 2 908-3s in the event, driven by Ahrens and Elford and Herman and Atwood. But neither car could keep up with the 2 leading Porsches. Giunti's Ferrari dropped out, but a second Ferrari, driven by Surtees and Vaccarella, remained a dangerous opponent. Siffert and Rodriguez were clearly in the lead. Rodriguez was doing 7:54. That's 109.25 miles an hour, a new lap record, and also a good Formula One time. In the 12th lap, things started happening. Kinnunen, who had just taken over the car from Rodriguez, left the track. He was just too fast. This was Brian Redman's first pit stop. The mechanics, under the steady direction of John Wyer's team manager, David York, worked efficiently as Joseph Siffert prepared to take over the driving chores. But number 20 was not destined to finish the race. Later, after 22 laps, Redman pulled in for his second pit stop and stayed there. The reason? Surprisingly high oil consumption and poor bearing lubrication. And there's a rule that oil can be refilled only after 15 laps. Number 20 stalled again and was out of the race. The 2 lead cars were now out of the running, and the race regained excitement. Hopes now were pinned on the Porsches of Elford and Ahrens, of Herman and Atwood. Elford and Ahrens in the 908-3 were out in front, holding the 2 Ferraris in check. In the middle field, the Gran Turismo cars were fighting very hard. Sometimes these battles go unnoticed when everybody is watching the leaders. A 911 was leading, and in the 2-liter class, the 914-6s were quite outstanding. Up front, the Salzburg Porsches were holding the lead. Surtees and Vaccarella in their Ferrari dropped back to 3rd place. After 44 tough laps, the Porsche 908-3, driven by Ahrens and Elford, crossed the finish line in 1st place, with 103 miles per hour average. The other Salzburg car finished 2nd. The victory at Nürburgring meant that Porsche had clinched the manufacturer's world championship title for the 2nd year in a row. Porsche could no longer be beaten on points. The fact that Porsche had already locked up the manufacturer's world championship with 6 victories in 7 races by the time the Le Mans race started did not dull the excitement. Le Mans is the one they remember. An impressive race where Porsche scored its first overall victory in the French Classic. Here, the new mid-engine 914-6 production sports car proved its mettle as a racing competitor. In the first lap, the pack of 56 cars mounts the hill after the start and then breaks into the left curve. Here, every inch counts. The first set of curves at Le Mans is simply called the S's. It's a left-right-left curve. Then comes a short straightaway followed by the Tertre Rouge, a right curve. Out of that, there's a long 3.4-mile stretch to be taken at full speed. Le Mans is a course where cars are shifted into fifth gear for top speed. In today's sports cars with 5-liter engines, that means 211, 217 or more miles per hour. That's how fast a 917 goes, and also a Ferrari 512. These high speeds require special aerodynamic body construction to keep the car close and firm on the roadway, undisturbed by side winds. At Le Mans, it's always a bit windy, and hardly any 24-hour race is run without an occasional rain shower. In the first hours of Le Mans, an average of more than 143 miles per hour was set. Vic Alford had the best lap time, 3:12. That's 150 miles per hour. When night falls, the spectators amuse themselves at the carousels, shooting galleries, and sideshows. But for the drivers, nighttime brings added difficulties, especially when there's fog and rain.
Still very slippery.
After 3 hours, Siffert and Redmond's Porsche was in the lead. After 6 hours, they were still leading, but the best Ferrari with Ickx and Chetty was in third place. After 9 hours, Siffert and Redmond were still in front, but the Ferrari had moved into second place. Then both lead drivers dropped out. Siffert's car jumped out of gear. The engine over-revved, and the favorite was out of the race. Ickx over-braked and left the track. After 12 hours at 4 in the morning, the Hermann Atwood Porsche was still in the lead. Before the eyes of Dr. Ferdinand Porsche, the 917 entered by Porsche Salzburg, number 23, prepared for its final streak toward victory. At the last pit stop, Hans Hermann took over the car, relieving Dick Atwood, and then went on to win. It was to be a very special victory for Hermann. Meanwhile, in its own category, the 914-6, basically a production sports car with a 2-liter engine and approximately 215 horsepower, won the GT class and finished 6th overall. For the first time, Porsche scored a complete victory at Le Mans. Larousse and Kausen, driving a 917 for the Martini team, took second place. In third, the Austrians Linz and Marco in a Porsche 908, followed by 2 Ferraris. Having won Le Mans for Porsche in number 23, Hans Hermann decided that for him there were no more races left to win, and announced his retirement.